Hello everybody, this is John from PhoneDog.com, back with another Hero video for you. And in this one I'll cover the browser, scenes, and I'll take a closer look at the keyboard. Let's get to it.
Okay, so the next thing I want to look at on the Hero is the browser, which is still Google's WebKit based browser that was seen in the G1 and the Magic MyTouch. HTC is making additions to it, changing the interface a little bit. HTC's Chief Innovation Officer said in London that he would continue to invest in this browser, so this is what we're going to see in future Android devices by HTC. You can see right now that I'm looking at a page with Flash on it. What's cool about the bookmarks on this device is that they are represented visually in what many would refer to as a sort of TouchFlow-esque sort of interface. You can view your current open windows in a three-dimensional space. And not only that, it does remember where you were on the page. So here on this BBC page, if I go back up to the top, go back through my windows, you'll see it remembers that I'm at the top of the page there. So that's pretty handy. And back to this eBay screen, this is also Flash on the front page of eBay. This browser will not handle all Flash. It's a Flash Lite, and I believe Flash 8 is supported, but not Flash 9. I'm not positive on the particulars there. One thing that people have been wanting to know about is YouTube. So let's check that out. And it does play YouTube videos, it just doesn't play them in the browser. I don't know how important that is to anybody. But it automatically launches a full screen player. And I'm hooked up to Wi-Fi here. We'll try to get an Edge in a minute.
At 15 seconds, guidance is internal. 12, 11, 10, 9. Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. We have a liftoff.
So as you can see, that's playing pretty smoothly. Several people asked me about the music player on MySpace pages. That does not work with the Flash in this browser, and I'm not going to go to a MySpace page to show you. It's just a blank space. There's nothing there. So a lot of people already have this from their G1, but you have it here legitimately, fully supported multi-touch, which is pretty cool. Maybe not quite as snappy as the iPhone, but it's beautiful. It works great. See that the font is rendered very clearly. Everything looks very sharp and clean. So now I'm going to disable my Wi-Fi so we can do an Edge speed test for those who want to import this phone and run it on Edge here in the States. So this is on Edge in an apartment that is very poorly covered by Edge. But I'm going to give you the real deal here. So no editing. As I said, I do get poor signal in here. I'm on the bottom floor in an apartment complex in an area that's not very well covered. So if you have a similar situation, you probably don't want to spend $500 to import this phone if web browsing is important to you or fast data transfer. If you're going to be using Wi-Fi at home, great. When I go out into areas that are very well covered, where I have full bars all the way up on Edge, I can get fairly quick downloads. I can load this page in probably between 5 and 10 seconds on Edge. But as you can see, here's sort of a worst case scenario of what you could expect if you want to import this phone. Looks like it's pretty much done there. Not quite. Still got a little bit loading down there at the bottom, but we can browse, so it's functional. Looks like we're waiting on a flash advertisement. Okay, and it's complete. And there's the advertisement, which is flash. Now, aside from the visually stunning Android custom TouchFlow interface that so many people identify with Sense, there are two characteristics that make Sense extremely powerful and unique. One is the ability to aggregate data from multiple streams under a single contact. Whether or not I'm going to be able to cover that before I send this phone off, I'm not sure. I'll try to get to it in my written review. The other thing is scenes, and they are customizable snapshots so that you can have one set up for work, one set up for the weekend, one set up for home, and they're very useful and customizable. I'm just going to go in here and switch a few of them. If you go into settings, you'll find this personalize section that is not in the default Android settings. And here are scenes. Current one right now is unsaved. You can see I've modified it to change my widgets or the ringer profile, whatever. Here's the default scene. So now we're on HTC, which is what it ships with. You all will not see this option for which home screen to choose. I did install multiple home replacements as a test. So, as you recall if you saw my unboxing video, this is the scene that HTC has set up as the default for new users. Work has some stocks, widgets. I'll take a second for this one to load. There we go. Clocks from different time zones. A stock widget. And I'm doing this on Edge, by the way. I should probably turn my Wi-Fi back on. I did that as a test for the browser. You have a bookmarks widget there, which is pretty handy. Here's the play scene, photo album, weather, music, travel, which uses HTC's footprints. I haven't had a chance to really try this out either, so there's definitely some things left over for Noah to check out. I'm interested in seeing his take on the phone in its entirety anyway, putting it into context. And the last one that they have here is what they call a clean slate. No widgets loaded. So this one, obviously, for people who are looking for the quickest, snappiest experience, would be probably the most preferable scene. Now, some people have been complaining about the speed of the Hero's processor. Well, if you bog it down with widgets and a couple of apps, it's definitely going to slow down. You have 6-7 notifications up here. Yeah, you can expect the phone to slow down quite a bit. But the way I've been running it, usually with maybe 1 or 2 widgets, and not too many apps running in the background, it's fine. I haven't experienced much lag at all. But when I first got the phone and I had all of the widgets running, the default HTC scene that's designed to show off what it can do, not necessarily the most well-designed scene for daily use, yeah, I was getting slow performance. And you'll see with this scene, there is quite a bit going on, and if you turn on pretty much anything else, you're going to be pushing the processor to its limits. But I'm still getting pretty decent response from the screen in terms of swiping back and forth between the panels. But if I opened a few apps, it's going to start slowing down, of course. You have to remember in Android, when you open up a new app, even though the operating system is designed to start closing down apps that you're not using in order to free up resources for other apps, you are going to reach a point where it's trying to process too many things at once. One thing you can't do that I would like to see implemented is have a scene triggered by GPS, so that when you're in your house you have one scene running, when you're on the road there's another scene, when you're in work it's another scene. Again, that's just something that sounds kind of cool. I would like to see it implemented. Would I actually use it? I don't know. I like to run pretty lean so I can get the best performance possible and the longest battery life I can. Now the last thing I wanted to cover in this video is the keyboard. And I noticed last night that I actually did a better job of typing accurate messages when I went as quickly as I could and then went back and made a few adjustments, as opposed to typing very slowly and making sure everything was corrected along the way. So I'm going to do a couple of tests here, and one thing I should point out is that the keyboard has this little settings button here. Instead of going home to the menu, you can just go right in there and change your options for prediction, spell correction, things like that. This is a test for my Hero video for Phone Dog that will be posted to the site on July, what is it, 21st, I think. Okay. So you can see that there are quite a few errors in that one. Okay, I think I need to turn this one off and that one. Hope that's correct. Alright, so this is a test of how well I can type on the Hero in landscape mode. You might have seen a little lag there with some different settings. Will there be fewer errors in this one? And I'm doing this without looking at the screen. I'm only looking at the keyboard. So this is a test of how well I can type on the Hero in landscape mode with some different settings. Will there be fewer errors in this one? As you can see, there's only one error. So if I just use the trackball to get back to that W and hit an E, it's all good. I hope I'm not missing something obvious here. But as you can tell, that's a pretty reasonable speed to be typing at. And at first I was going very slow. I was typing like this. And then selecting words and, you know, moving along without much confidence in the keyboard. But I found out that the more I relaxed and the more I trusted the keyboard, the better my messages turned out, the more accurate they were. So, do I think the keyboard is as good as the G1s in terms of speed? Actually, yes. It just takes some adapting. That's all there is to it, really. Some people are going to prefer the tactile feeling of keys. It's just a personal preference. But I think that if you don't mind using a virtual keyboard, you could probably eventually reach the proficiency that you've had on phones with a hardware QWERTY.
Alright, thanks for watching everybody. Stay tuned to PhoneDog.com. Take care.